Hi, my name is Lijah Fosl and I work with the Peace Education Program. And today we're going to be doing a really awesome lesson about conflict resolution and communication. Conflict resolution. This is a term that some of us may be super familiar with, but some of us may be like, I don't really know what that means. So we're just going to really quickly break it down word by word and talk about what each of these words means. So starting off, really important, this word right here, conflict. Do you know what a conflict is? People might say a bunch of different things. People might say a conflict is a fight. They might say it's an argument or a disagreement. Here at Peace Ed, the favorite description that we like to use for conflict is that it's a problem between two or more people. So it could be a fight, it could be an argument, but really what's at the source of the conflict is a problem between two or more people. Conflict is a problem. So this next word, resolution, this one should actually be pretty easy. If conflict is a problem, what do we think the resolution is? There's even a little bit of a hint, which is if you take off the R and the E, what do you have left but solution? So finding a solution to the problem, or we might say solving the problem. So when I say conflict resolution, when we talk about conflict resolution, it's very easy to think that we are really just talking about problem solving, but we're talking about solving problems that happen between two or more people. Not just problems you might have on your own, those are important too, but conflict resolution is solving those problems that happen between you and someone else or a lot of other people. So now that we know what conflict and resolution are, I'm going to ask you to participate in a little bit of a survey with me, and you can do this from your own home, from wherever you are watching this video. You can participate in this survey by doing some sign language response to what I asked you. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you can respond in 3 different ways. If you cross your arms in front of your chest, that means that never happens to me. That never happens to me. Got it? If you put up one hand like this, that means sometimes, yeah, that happens to me sometimes. And if you put up 2 hands, that means that happens to me all the time. You can even sort of shake them to be like, that happens to me every single day of my life. Okay, so never, sometimes, all the time, every single day. So, conflict, problem between 2 or more people. Who has conflict with their sibling or another kid that lives in the house with you? Okay. I'm going to say sometimes for me. I have conflict with my sibling who lives with me. Who has conflict with an adult that lives in the house with you? Maybe a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or another adult that lives in your house. Okay. And who, since we've all been stuck inside, having really hard time communicating with people outside, who here has conflict with people through social media or through your phone that you're talking to outside of your house? That's true for me, all the time. Great. Okay, so think about those people that you have conflict with or where those conflicts are happening the most in your life as we move forward with this lesson. So, a problem between 2 or more people, that means that if you're going to solve it, you need to communicate. So we're going to talk a little bit about healthy and positive ways to communicate, ways that will really get you to the solution you're looking for with your conflict. So when people are communicating, there are 2 things that those people want. 2 things more than anything else in the whole world that people want while they are communicating. And I wonder if you can guess what those are. People might make a lot of different guesses here, but the first one is a really important one. So see if you can guess it as I start to write it up here. Super important word. I bet you've all heard it. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, respect. Very, very important. We all want to be respected and get respect from the people we're communicating with, not just when we're in a conflict, but throughout our lives, all the time. When we go to school, when we get on FaceTime, when we talk with our parents, when we talk with our siblings, all the time, we want to be sure that that person is giving us their respect. Now, the second one might be a little bit harder. So you want respect and you want something else too. Can you take a guess? Just maybe brainstorm your own guess and see what you think it might be. Respect and what? I'm going to write it up here. I'm going to block it. attention. Respect and attention. Attention means that the person is actually paying attention to you. Like they're in this with you. They're communicating with you. Otherwise, it's sort of just like being alone. So you want the people that you're communicating with to be giving you their attention, and you want them to be doing it respectfully. So if you got either of those right, just go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back because you did a great job. This can be a pretty hard one. A lot of people think that they want money, they want someone to do something for them, they want to find a new friend, and all those things are true, but at the very base level, you can't do anything while communicating unless you are sure that you have respect and attention. So, I'm going to do a little brainstorming activity with you guys that's going to talk a little bit about how we can get and how we can give respect and attention when we're in conflict with someone. Before I do that, I want to define a word that I'm going to use so that we know what it means, just like I did with conflict resolution. And this one's really important. This is the word nonverbal, which is a super simple word. Nonverbal. Verbal just means talking or using your voice. So nonverbal means we're not doing that at all. So no talking, no making any sound. So if I ask you to think of something that would be nonverbal, like how would you say hi to someone non-verbally? Whatever you want. But notice I didn't use my voice. So that's what non-verbal means, just for this next part. So I want everybody to do something with me. And what I want you to do is I want you to think of a person in your life who does not listen to you. Who is someone that just never listens to you? When you have a problem, when you have a complaint, when you have something really you're excited about that you want to tell them about, they just don't listen to you.
Somebody who ignores me is my parents.
The person that ignores me is my classmates.
I want you to first tell me, what does that person do to show you that they aren't listening? And this might be some nonverbal cues that they use to show you that they aren't listening. So what does it look like when someone is not listening to you? You all might have a lot of great answers to that question, and I'm going to write up here some things that I really commonly hear from kids that I work with in schools when we talk about people who don't listen to us. And these are some of my experiences too. They do something else. That's a big one. Like if you're on your phone, if you're watching TV, if you're playing video games, if you're reading a book while someone's talking to you, it's really hard for them to feel like you're really listening to them. Here's another big one. To talk over you. To talk over you means that you're trying to say something, and before you're even finished, they're already saying something back. So how could they be listening if they started talking about their own thing while you were talking to them? Walk away. You try and talk to someone, they get up and walk away, that's a big signal that that person is not listening to you. To shut down. So if someone's talking to me and I'm going, am I really listening? Probably not. It sure doesn't look like I am. And as if they won't look at you. Maybe the biggest and most popular answer is if you're talking to someone and they are not looking at you, it really feels like they are not listening. So, this is a great list, and you might have your own experiences with what it looks like when people don't listen to you. But now that you've thought about that person and you've thought about what they do, I want you to answer this question for me. When they do those things and don't listen to you, how does that make you feel? How do you feel when someone is not listening to you?
To me, it feels bad to be ignored because, like, they're not listening to you, and I don't think anybody likes not being listened to.
I feel mad when someone ignores me.
It feels frustrating to be ignored.
So everybody has a different answer to this question, but there's a lot of answers that are super common, and they're true for me, and they're true, I'm sure, for a lot of you all too. So a big one, a huge one that comes up all the time, is just angry. Makes you feel mad, makes you feel angry. Another one, sad. Makes you feel like, well. And then more specifically to sad, a lot of times somebody will say, it makes me feel like I don't matter. And that's a really big way for us to feel sad. If we feel like what we're saying is not important, doesn't matter to someone, that makes us feel, another word that comes up a lot, invisible. Like, am I even here? Am I even saying anything when nobody is listening to me? And then the number one most common word, and it's my favorite one to talk about with this is how I always feel, disrespected. A huge one. When you feel disrespected and maybe ignored. Disrespected and ignored are some really heavy bad feelings for us to have. So these are not great feelings, and if you think about it, what are most of these saying that we're not getting? Respect and attention. If we feel disrespected, that's exactly what that means, is we don't think we're getting respect. If we feel invisible or ignored, it means we feel like we are not getting the attention that we deserve, and that can make us feel very angry, very sad, and make us feel like we don't matter. So, that's all that. Not really great. So let's change it up a little bit and think about who in your life is someone who does listen to you. Do you have anyone that you feel like you can really trust and rely on to actually listen to what you have to say when you have something to share? Think of that person in your head. I want you to legitimately put your finger on your forehead and imagine that person in your head. Imagine just one time recently that you said something and they listened to you. And then tell me, how did you know they were listening? So think about it. What does it look like, or what can people do to show you that they are listening to you?
I use eye contact.
One way that I show someone that I'm actively listening is that I make eye contact, and I'm not messing with things.
So, some big answers to this question that I hear all the time. One of them, number one answer every time, eye contact. Now, eye contact is an interesting thing because sometimes eye contact can feel a little bit weird, right? Like, if you're just making a lot of eye contact, for some people that feels a little bit uncomfortable. But it can be really important to folks to let them know that you're listening. So even a little bit of eye contact, or trying to give them the same amount of eye contact that they're giving you, can really go a long way. Another huge one, nonverbal. You just face them. So instead of turning away, if the person who's talking to me is over here, I would turn towards them and I would face them and make eye contact. Two of the biggest answers to this question, and they're super important, and guess what? They're both nonverbal. Here's a verbal one though. So a verbal one is they might ask questions, right? If they were really listening to you and they can ask you a question about a detail from your story or what's going on for you, they have to be listening. That's showing you that they are engaged with what you want to say. So, asking questions is a big way for us to show that we are listening, and it's one of those verbal ways that we can actually respond. Another verbal way that we can respond is what I call affirmation, and this could be, yeah, it could be, it could be, I feel you. You know, it's just those little things that while someone's talking to us, we're like, yeah, totally, yeah, wow, I really hear that. Those little affirmations go a long way. And the last one, and this is the hardest but also kind of the most important, is to repeat back. So this is like high-level listening. And very few of us might have someone who constantly does this for us. But if someone says something to you and you can repeat back to them what they said, even if they talked for like 10 minutes and you got to just sort of give a summary of what they said in like 1 minute, repeating back is like the perfect proof that someone was really, really listening. So the next time that someone is talking to you or tells you a story, just try, practice. Just before you give your response, before you give your own input, you know, like help like them figure out their problem or get in on the gossip, just repeat back to them what they said. Because this last part, I want us to think about how we feel when people do these things. When people do listen to us. That person who listens to you, when they do all these things and they listen, how does that make you feel?
I feel happy when someone listens to me.
How does it feel when someone listens to me is it feels great.
Some big answers here that we might hear very commonly are that you feel happy, right? You just feel good, you feel better. A huge one that comes up that you might notice is the opposite of something up there is that you feel respected, heard. Like I feel like someone really heard what I had to say. They might feel like, hey, you know what? I do matter. In fact, I matter a lot. And you might feel kind of important or even a little bit proud. And you'll notice, like I said, that a lot of these are just the opposite of what's up here. Instead of disrespected, we feel respected. Instead of ignored, we feel heard. Instead of like we don't matter, we feel like we do matter. Instead of feeling invisible, we feel important. Huge difference. I want you to notice the difference from what is happening in this category when we don't have that respect and attention, when people are doing this stuff, to what's happening down here when we do have a solid, secure feeling of respect and attention and people are listening to us. And guess what? This can change from this category to this category in as little as 60 seconds. So if someone's talking to you for 60 seconds, that's 1 minute is 60 seconds, and you do all this stuff for that time, it can give them all of these feelings and more that you might have thought of on your own. That's how powerful this stuff is. So even if someone wants to talk to you and you're like, I don't have time for this, do you think you have 60 seconds? Do you think you have 1 minute? And then maybe at the end, spend 30 seconds more repeating back what they said? I want you to give that a shot. While you're at home, while we're stuck inside, if you're quarantining with people, someone wants to talk to you, even if you don't care. Use these skills, try to repeat back that big one at the bottom, and then notice what a big difference that makes.